Now we move to food, the topic everyone talks about, and at the same time, the one surrounded by the most confusion. If you listen long enough, you will hear completely opposite advice. One source tells you to eliminate all meat. Another insists you should eat only meat and avoid carbohydrates entirely. A third claims that a specific drink every morning can prevent serious disease. And so, a person at 60 sits down, staring at their plate, not knowing what is actually right anymore. But here is the truth, stripped of noise. There is no single food that will extend your life. Not garlic, not turmeric, not berries from some distant region. That is marketing. Well-packaged, expensive marketing. What truly shapes your health is not one food. It is your pattern. What you eat consistently, day after day, month after month, year after year. One afternoon of grilled meat changes nothing. 20 years of processed food every morning, that changes everything. Let's begin with something most people underestimate: protein. After the age of 50, the body begins to lose muscle mass. This process is called sarcopenia. You do not need to remember the word, just understand the reality. Every year, your muscles become slightly smaller, slightly weaker, unless you act. By 70, some people have lost up to 30% of the muscle they once had. And muscle is not about appearance. It is structure. It keeps your spine upright. It protects your joints. It helps you stand up from a chair. It keeps your balance. It prevents falls. Muscle is built from protein. And yet, many people over 50 are not getting enough. Breakfast might be oatmeal. Lunch might be soup. Dinner might be potatoes and vegetables. But where is the protein? Often, it is missing. The rule is simple. Every meal should include a source of protein. Breakfast could include an egg or cottage cheese. Lunch could include fish or chicken. Dinner could include legumes, lean meat, or a small portion of cheese. A portion roughly the size of your palm, 3 times a day. This is not extreme. This is a baseline. Now let's address a common myth directly. After 60, eating meat is harmful. That statement is not true. It came from misunderstanding. Studies about processed meat were taken out of context and spread widely. Processed meat means sausages, hot dogs, bacon, smoked products. These should be limited. But regular meat, beef, chicken, turkey, is a valuable source of protein, iron, and vitamin B12, especially when it is cooked properly, baked, boiled, or braised, not burned in oil. There was a man, 67, a retired engineer. He came in exhausted, pale, struggling even with stairs. 3 years earlier, he had completely removed meat from his diet, believing it was harmful. His test told a different story. Hemoglobin was low, iron stores were nearly depleted, vitamin B12 below normal. He was not lacking food. He was lacking the right food. We reintroduced meat gradually alongside fish. Within 3 months, his energy returned. His face regained color. His mood improved. Now let's talk about vegetables. When people hear eat vegetables, they often imagine something unpleasant. Raw, bland, tasteless. But vegetables are not punishment. They can be rich, warm, satisfying. Braised cabbage with carrots and onions, roasted zucchini with garlic, beets with a small amount of oil, a thick vegetable soup with herbs. That is real food, and they matter for 2 main reasons: fiber and antioxidants. Fiber acts like a brush inside your digestive system. It helps move waste, excess cholesterol, and toxins out of the body. Without enough fiber, digestion slows. Problems build quietly, and when digestion is affected, everything else begins to suffer: skin, immunity, mood, sleep. Antioxidants protect your cells from long-term damage, the kind that builds slowly over decades. You find them in colorful vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, spinach, peppers, fresh herbs. A practical step is simple. Add 1 portion of vegetables about the size of your fist to lunch and dinner, not as decoration, but as part of the main plate. Start a few times a week, then increase gradually. Now, what should be reduced? Not everything. You do not need to remove all enjoyment from your life. Extreme change creates stress, and stress itself damages health. But there are 3 areas worth reducing: sugar, salt, and processed foods. Let's start with sugar, not the sugar in fruit, the added sugar. In tea, in desserts, in sweetened drinks, a glass of packaged apple juice can contain 5 to 6 teaspoons of sugar, about the same as a glass of soda. After 50, excess sugar raises insulin levels. Over time, that leads to inflammation, and inflammation accelerates damage in blood vessels, joints, and the brain. The solution is gradual. If you use 3 spoons of sugar in tea, reduce to 2, then 1.5, then 1. Over time, your taste adapts. Salt is similar. The recommended intake is about 5 to 6 grams per day. Many people consume double that amount without realizing it, because salt hides in bread, cheese, canned foods, processed meats. Too much salt increases blood pressure and strains the heart and kidneys. A simple step is to remove the salt shaker from the table. Use other flavors instead: lemon, herbs, spices. Now, processed foods. Have you ever stopped and thought about why one person at 72 is out in the garden every single morning, blood pressure steady, no medications, no complaints, while another at 64 is sitting across from a doctor, holding a thick folder of test results, confused, asking what went wrong? Both of them lived their lives. Both of them tried. But here's the difference. One was doing the right things, while the other was doing the things everyone said were right. And those are not the same thing. Not even close. For years of practice, thousands of real patients, one conclusion keeps coming back again and again. The people who live long and live well are not doing anything heroic. No extreme diets, no miracle foods, no freezing ice baths every morning, no handfuls of supplements. They are doing simple things, correctly, and consistently. And the ones who get sick early, they are not doing nothing. They are doing something, but often the wrong things. Or worse, they have been carrying myths for decades. Myths that sound right, but have no real foundation in medicine. Now let's start with the most common excuse of all. Genetics. Doctor, my mother died at 60. My grandmother at 58. What chance do I even have? That question comes up almost every day. And every single time, the answer stays the same. Your genes are not a sentence. Your genes are just the hand you were dealt. What you do with that hand, that's the real story. There was a large study in Denmark conducted on identical twins, and identical means 100% identical genetic material. Not similar, identical. These people were followed for decades, and the result was clear. Genetics accounts for about 20 to 25% of how long you live. At most, 30%. The rest, 70 to 80%, comes from something else entirely. Lifestyle, habits, environment, what you eat, how you sleep, how you handle stress. Think about that for a moment. The majority is in your control. Imagine this. 2 people are given apartments. One is brand new, strong walls, perfect windows, everything solid. The other is old, cracks in the foundation, leaks in the roof. Yes, they start differently. That part is real. But here's what really matters. If the person in the new apartment ignores everything, never repairs anything, lets problems pile up, in 10 years, that place falls apart. Meanwhile, the person in the old apartment who fixes things, maintains it, pays attention, that place can last 50 more years. That's genetics in real life. A man once came in at 55. His father had died of a heart attack at 52. He was terrified. He looked straight ahead and asked, "Do I only have 3 years left?" But the truth is, he had as much time as he decided to give himself. We didn't change everything overnight. That wasn't the goal. Cigarettes went from 5 a day to 3. Then eventually 0. Walking was added. Nothing fancy, just to the store and back. Processed meat every night was replaced with fish twice a week. 1 year later, his cholesterol dropped by 1.5. Blood pressure stabilized. And for the first time in 10 years, he said he was sleeping well. That wasn't genetics, that was choice. Now let's be clear, genes do matter. There are real hereditary risks: type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain cancers. These are not imaginary. But here's where most people get it wrong. If your family has a history of disease, that does not mean stop. It means pay attention. Think of it like a traffic light. Family history puts you on yellow. Not red, not stop. Just be alert. And what does that actually mean? If diabetes runs in your family, you check your fasting blood sugar and your glycated hemoglobin every year after 40. That test shows your average blood sugar over the past 3 months. You don't wait for symptoms, you act early. If heart attacks or strokes are in your history, you monitor blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides. If cancer has appeared in your family, you don't follow a generic checklist. You work with a doctor to build a personalized screening plan, specific to your risk. And here's something most people never consider. Something quietly shaping outcomes across generations. What many call hereditary disease is often hereditary behavior. If 3 generations eat the same way, fry everything, overload salt, avoid movement, then yes, disease will appear in all of them. But that's not DNA alone. That's habits being passed down alongside recipes. I remember a woman 61 years old diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. She said, "Everyone in my family has this. My mother, my aunt, my brother." So I asked her one simple question. "What do you eat for lunch?" "Pasta, white bread, sweet fruit compote with 5 spoons of sugar. Every day. The same way her mother made it. The same way her grandmother made it. That's not a genetic curse. That's a pattern." We didn't start with medication. We started with the plate. White bread was replaced with whole grain. Pasta portions were cut in half. Sugar was removed from the compote, replaced with cinnamon and lemon. More vegetables, more protein, a small handful of nuts for snacks. 4 months later, her glycated hemoglobin dropped from 8.2 to 6.7. 4 months, no suffering, no starvation, just different choices. Here's something you can do right now. Take a piece of paper. Write down what your closest relatives had, your parents, your grandparents. Keep it simple. Father had a heart attack at 63. Grandmother had high blood sugar. That is your map. Bring it to your doctor. Ask for a plan built for you, not a generic list for everyone over 50. And when people say, "I don't care how long I live, I just don't want to suffer," the answer is simple. You can have both. Longer life and less suffering. That is not theory. That is reality in places researchers call blue zones. Regions where people live into their 90s and even past 100. Still walking, still working, still living. Places like Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Ikaria in Greece. What connects them? Not a miracle gene. Not luck. Simple habits, done consistently, over years. And those habits are exactly what comes next. These are the ones worth truly limiting. Sausages, instant meals, frozen products, packaged snacks. They are high in salt, sugar, unhealthy fats, and additives, while providing very little real nutrition. Study after study across large populations shows the same pattern. The more processed food people consume, the earlier disease appears. Replacing them is not complicated. Instead of processed meat, cook chicken or fish. Instead of packaged salads, prepare vegetables with oil. Simple steps. People often say cooking is difficult, but treating the consequences of decades of poor eating, that is far more difficult. One more element, water. Not a fixed number like 2 liters per day. Needs vary, but one fact remains. Many people over 50 are slightly dehydrated, often without realizing it. The feeling of thirst becomes weaker with age, so the signal comes later. And the effects build slowly. Fatigue, headaches, poor concentration, reduced kidney function. A practical approach is simple. Keep water visible. Drink small amounts regularly, not large volumes at once. Just a few sips throughout the day. Food after 50 is not about restriction. It is about choice. Each time you open the refrigerator, you make a decision. A small one, almost invisible. But those small decisions, repeated over time, shape your health. Start with one change. Add protein to breakfast. Reduce sugar slightly. Replace one processed meal. One step each week. In 6 months, your plate will look different. In 1 year, your results will look different. And now, we move to something just as powerful. Movement. Now we come to movement. And this is where extremes do the most damage. On one side, people believe that after 50, They should protect themselves by doing less. Sit more. Avoid effort. Don't strain anything. And so, years pass in a chair, and then one day they ask why their legs feel weak, why their back is stiff, why even a short climb leaves them breathless. On the other side, someone sees an inspiring story, an 80-year-old running long distances, and suddenly decides to do the same at 62 without preparation. The result is predictable: injury, pain, frustration, and then back to the chair. The truth sits in the middle. The most effective exercise is not the most intense one. It is the one you will actually do. Every single day. There is a real condition doctors track, often called sedentary disease. It sounds almost harmless, but it is not. When a person sits for more than 8 hours a day, and many people do exactly that, a chain reaction begins. Metabolism slows. Muscles weaken. Circulation decreases. Blood sugar rises because muscles are not using it. Think of a car left in a garage for years. Nothing hit it, nothing broke it directly. But the battery is dead. The oil has thickened. The system no longer works. The body is the same. It does not fail only from overuse. It fails from disuse. Research shows something simple and powerful. Regular walking reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease by about 30 to 35%. No equipment, no membership, just walking. Ideally, 30 to 60 minutes per day. But if you are doing nothing now, start with 15. After breakfast, step outside, walk around the block, come back. Week 2, 20 minutes. Week 3, 25. Your body will begin to respond. There was a woman, 66, who came in with back pain, poor sleep, constant fatigue. Medication was not helping. Therapy helped only briefly. She walked about 10 minutes per day. We increased it to 20 minutes every morning. Understanding your care is part of your care. Now, one final story. A man, 58, came in. High blood pressure, elevated blood sugar, high cholesterol, overweight, shortness of breath, poor sleep. He asked one question: how much time do I have? But the reality was this: he was not at the end. He was at a turning point. We did not change everything at once. First, processed foods were reduced, sugar intake lowered, walking added, then water replaced sweet drinks, then simple exercises were introduced. Month by month, small changes. After 6 months, everything had shifted. Weight reduced, blood pressure improved, blood sugar normalized, energy returned. Not because of one dramatic decision, because of many small ones. That is the real message. Long life is not one heroic act. It is thousands of small decisions. A healthier meal, a short walk, a glass of water, a conversation, a moment of calm. Each one seems insignificant. Together, they become years of life. Good years. Years where you move freely, think clearly, wake up with energy. This is not unrealistic. It is achievable. Start with one step. Write it down. Act on it. And if this helped you understand something important, share your thoughts, leave a comment, and stay connected for more.